All right, y'all. Another episode of the Public Therapy Podcast with host Chris, and today I have with us host of the Skinny to Strong podcast and personal trainer Kane Patterson. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm very good, mate. And you?
I'm doing pretty good. What time is it out there? So you're in
It
Aus-
is Australia. Yeah, it's just gone 5 p.m.
Okay. So it's like I guess it's a decent time for you out there.
It,
5
it
p.m.
is. Yeah. Sundays are a very lazy day for me, man. So I sort of just relax, gets to
Yeah,
about this time, and I start getting a bit
yeah.
tired.
What are your weekends usually like out there?
uh, as in, what do we do, or weather-wise, or?
Just like what do you do like for the are you like do you work are you working like throughout the weeks and then off on the weekends, or what does that look like for you?
Yeah, so I work Monday to Friday on our business. And then from on the weekends, I usually just play video games with friends, go and train, eat. That's
Okay.
about my life.
Okay.
We're in a stage 4 lockdown here because of the virus.
Okay.
So we're sort of, uh, you pretty much not allowed to leave your house unless it's for an hour of training or you're going to the shops or something like that.
Oh, so it's still locked down pretty heavy out there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Massive, man.
Wow. I thought at this point most places were. I know there's other places going back on lockdown, but I thought for the most part everything was open around the world. So that's pretty interesting. I didn't know that. I actually had a guy on last weekend. He's actually from Australia too, but he lives in Phuket, and he's from Australia. He lived out here in the UK, but right now he's in Phuket or Phuket. I always forget how you.
Phuket.
I always forget
Phuket.
the proper way to
Phuket
say
sounds
it.
right.
I always forget the proper way to say it.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
was like, oh, I haven't heard of Phuket. Like,
I heard of fuck it. I ain't heard of,
yeah.
yeah, so he's out that way. So I guess out there in Thailand they're pretty wide open too. So that's why I kind of assume that everything else was wide open. So you only get an hour a day?
Yeah. So we have a gym in our shed here at our house. So I use the hour to go for a walk or something, stick
Mhm.
some tunes on and just, space out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I It sounds crazy, and I feel like I say this every episode now, but I kind of miss being on lockdown. I missed it because it was simple. Like the only thing I didn't miss about it was the fact that you couldn't get out and go to the gym and do all the things that you normally do. But I enjoyed like sitting home, me and my wife just at home chilling, not really
Yeah.
anywhere, not worries as long as we stayed within our house and didn't have to worry about
Yeah.
catching the virus as long as you stayed inside and stuff. So I do miss that little piece.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
very similar. Yeah.
it's something like that too. Yeah.
Yeah. We've got the gym in the shed, but I'm someone who loves to go to the gym and train.
Mhm.
Like I love to go to a commercial gym and hit it.
Yeah.
It's just not the same training at home.
Right. So speaking of the gym and speaking of training, so I'm in the whole fitness industry and stuff myself. And most people, when you talk about someone as a personal trainer, you talk about someone that's into that lifestyle, you kind of look back on them and you assume that they come from this background of athletics, or they come from this background of weight training and everything that they've done leading up to and getting them to the point to where they become a personal trainer or a bodybuilder or an athlete or something of that nature. But you necessarily don't have that same story.
No, definitely
So,
not.
and that's why I wanted you to come on to the Public Therapy Podcast. I feel like the conversation that me and you are about to have is very therapeutic in the sense of you don't hear the story very often at all. And I think whenever I connected with you on Facebook, you said that your story sounds like it's out of a book or a movie.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. A lot of people don't believe me when I tell them,
yeah.
whether it's they don't want to believe it or I don't know, but it is what it is.
I don't,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's crazy when people don't believe it because you hear crazy stories all the time. Your story is pretty crazy from what I read, and I kind of want to open up the floor to you at this point, and so you can kind of tell your story and let our audience know what it is that you went through before you got to where you are today.
Okay. So pretty much it all started when I was born. Me and my brother were born heroin babies. So pretty much what that means is our mum was taking substances during her pregnancy, and us as babies got addicted to whatever she was taking, and then when we were born, we had to go through like 6 months of withdrawals and recovery essentially from drugs
Mm-hmm.
as soon as we were born. And then from there, pretty much it was just a cycle of we would live with our mum. She would either overdose somewhere or commit a crime, assault someone, shoot someone, or something like that. And then we would get taken off her and put into foster care. And it was like it was just a cycle of going into foster care, out of foster care. Mum would fuck up and do something wrong, and then we'd get taken off her again. And at the time, like, it was just life. That's what it was for me. It wasn't like it was upsetting.
Yeah.
But I didn't, because I was still a kid, I didn't realize that things were different in other families. Like, you know what I mean?
You're right.
Until I got a little bit older, and then I sort of clicked on to what was happening.
He was like, this is not normal.
Yeah. So my mum was a full-blown heroin addict. She had her own struggles with drugs and stuff like that. Couldn't look after us. A lot of people ask me if I'm upset with like child services and stuff like that. And to be honest, if they hadn't have stood in, I probably wouldn't be here today.
Okay.
to be honest, like we would have probably died as kids, not growing up and getting old and dying that way.
Wow. So you're someone who definitely appreciates the child protective services programs and stuff that they have.
Honestly, man, I think where they stuffed up is they let us go back with her. Like, they should have just realized that she is not fit in her state to be a mum. Mm-hmm. And like, even though she can, so my mum would show that she could be a normal functioning member of society, be clean and get off drugs and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And then she would get us back and then just go straight back on them, or she would trick the system somehow to get us back. And I think that the child services should have realized that and just gone, listen, you're not getting your kids back at all. You can see them, but they're just safer away from you.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question? Mm-hmm. So in your mom's eyes, did she consider herself a great parent at the time, or did she feel like she was a good mom at the time?
Wow, that's a good question, man.
It's obviously, looking from the outside in, people would assume that your mom's terrible. She's on drugs and
mm-hmm. So I don't hold any. I used to hold grudges against her and animosity towards her quite a lot, mm-hmm. but these days, like, obviously going through my own addiction as well and stuff like that, I sort of have an understanding of what she was going through. And I've forgiven her for everything that she's done through our childhood and everything like that. So, but to say that she thought she was a good parent, I don't know. I can't answer that one, man.
I only asked that question because it sounds like she still kept fighting for you all.
In that sense, yeah, I guess she would be a good parent in that sense, but
I guess just because you love somebody doesn't mean that you're necessarily good for them, right?
100%. That is exactly right. Yeah.
I guess that's a way of looking at it. She loved y'all, obviously, because if she didn't love y'all, she would just let CPS keep y'all. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I guess some people may look at it as in the sense of, if I love you, I'm good for you type of thing. So maybe that's the way she was looking at it. But anyways, go ahead.
The way I look at it is if she did truly love us enough, then she would have got herself clean and stayed clean. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So, like,
but you went through your addiction, then you kind of did that make you understand what it was that she was going through?
In a lot of ways, yes. In a big way, I understand the lack of control that she would have had, and things that would have been going on with her a lot more than I did when I used to hate her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's some strong words.
I hated her for a long time, and even though I don't hate her now and I've got no animosity towards her, she's someone that just can't be in my life. It's like I've got to look at how I can live my life and be the best person that I can be for my girlfriend and our future family.
Mm-hmm.
And she is not someone that can be in that picture. So uh, I know it's hard to say, and a lot of people will probably think badly of me for this, but I've just completely cut her out of my life and sort of wiped my hands with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you did what you tried. You tried to make ends meet, and sometimes things just happen that way, unfortunately.
There's only so many chances you can give someone, man, before you just go.
Right. And I get
That's
like
enough.
and like you said, some people may hear this and they might think negatively of what it is that you're saying, but me being a human, I never went through whatever it was through anything that you went through, but I get it because like I say, I talk to people all the time. So I don't know what it's like to be in your shoes. How old were you when you realized, because you said that everything seemed normal to you growing up? That was you thought that was just the way it was. And when was it? How old were you, or how old do you think you were when you realized that it clicked, or that it clicked that this shit is normal, that you shouldn't be living like?
It was around about 9 years old, around about 10, 9,
Okay.
because I went into a foster home, and the parents at this foster home really cared. They weren't just there like to work and get their paycheck. They actually cared about the kids in the home, and they taught me a lot. They taught me how to control my anger issues because I had really bad anger issues and would lash out and break stuff and hurt myself all the time. And yeah, they really knuckled down on me and sort of showed me a bit of tough love, as you need to with kids like that. But then they also helped me understand like what was going on with mum and what she was doing and everything that was happening. And it sort of it opened my eyes, but it also sort of turned me, I wouldn't say turned me against my mum, but sort of made me go, well, fuck her. Why is she doing this to us? We never did anything to her except for, be her kids and love her and stuff like that.
Yeah. Where was everybody else at? Where was like your grandparents or uncles or aunts?
So my brothers and sisters, we got split up in foster care around about when I was 8 years old. My brother got adopted. My sister went to a home across the other side of the state, and I was down the other side, so they split us right up. Unfortunately, most of my family are drug addicts, so the other half are sort of doing their own thing. But the one sort of solid, let's call it mother and father figure that I had in my life were my grandparents. They were always there. They were always, coming to pick us up on the weekends and going out with us, doing stuff with us. And in a lot of ways, because I never met my dad till I was 17, I look at my nan and pop or grandmother and grandfather as my mum and dad.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather's not with us now, but I still call my nan on Mother's Day and wish her a happy Mother's Day.
Okay.
I know it sounds weird, but to me, she is like, yeah.
That sounds normal to me. I try to remember to call my grandmother or my granddad and tell her happy Mother's Day. Because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here, right?
Yeah.
You say you met your dad at 17?
Yes. Yeah.
So what does he do, or not? Is he still around?
Yeah, still around. He was very similar to mum when I was born. He was in a bikie gang and all that kind of stuff, as you do, when you're the age that they were. He went through his own pretty cool journey and cleaned himself up, went through the army, and he's now a computer programmer. And me and him are just like, we're not really father and son. We're more best friends. Mm-hmm. We just act like, not like a father and son should. We're sort of like best mates, pick on each other and talk shit all the time. And I don't know. Yeah.
That makes sense because, I mean, you said you basically met him at 17, so he met you damn near when you were an adult at that point.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
okay, this is definitely family, and I didn't really raise him necessarily. So, yeah, I guess in a sense.
It was an interesting thing because when I met my dad, like I was in the midst of my own drug addiction and I was hitting everything pretty hard. And he sort of said, listen, I know you're doing it. I can't tell you to stop because I wasn't there as a kid. I don't know what you've been through and all that. He said, but I'm just going to give you one bit of advice. Anything that's holding you back in life, get rid of it and move on.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I sort of went, oh, yeah, whatever. Who cares? You know, blah, blah, blah. Right. But then when I started cleaning myself up and started working on myself, I remembered that. And that's what sort of sparked me to go, okay, my mother is something that's holding me back. Every time I go and live with her or catch up with her or something, I end up in trouble or worse off or, you know, back on drugs or something like that. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, she has to go.
Right.
So
now, I wanted to ask this question earlier. So, how old were you when you first started? When you did your first drug that you remember?
So I had experimented with weed a few times, but I had my first taste of hard drugs like speed or something like that. When I was around about 15, 16, my mum gave it to me. We were just standing in the kitchen and she came up to me and she's like, here you go, try this. And just being a teenager, your mum gives you something, you're like, oh, all right, cool, yeah, whatever, you know. Was I going to have it without her sort of prompting me? I don't know. But now that it was put in front of me, I'm sort of like, yeah, all right, cool, I'll have it. Yeah. And I loved it. It was awesome.
Okay.
It was very good. Okay. My body loved it. My mind loved it. Everything in me sort of was like, wow, this is awesome. And yeah, it just quickly spiraled out of control.
Yeah. I don't want to necessarily make this sound like a positive conversation when it comes to that. But what was it like being on speed? I've never done speed before. I do want to know, because when it comes to drugs, I'm not allowed to do drugs because I'm in the military, right? So yep. I've never experienced with drugs before or experienced with drugs before. So I always like to hear people's experience on what it's like trying certain drugs. So what's speed like?
Okay, let's see if I can relate it to something that you would have experienced. So if you were in a high tense situation, yeah, like on a battlefield and you're super alert, like you're just really wired and like you can hear everything, see everything really clearly, and you're like really pumped up and everything's just like when you're feeling great and energized. It's like that, man. Like I don't.
Yeah, I get it.
Hard to relate it to something being in the army or something like that, but yeah.
So when you tried speed for the first time, you were just, okay, this is the drug for me.
Yeah, it just took a hold of me, man. And then like every person that starts with drugs, moved on to something a bit more hard, something bigger. Started taking ecstasy quite a lot, started taking acid, coke. Ice, moved into pretty much if somebody put something in front of me, I would just have it in large amounts.
Yeah.
Never touched heroin though, because of what my mum, because of the massive effect that heroin had already had on me and my family, and I hadn't even taken it. It was sort of like a no-go area for me.
Yeah.
But everything else was like, yeah, just go, just have it, large amounts.
So that's crazy. So you had a trauma. So you wasn't afraid of drugs, but you knew that heroin was definitely a no-go because there was a trauma that was stemmed from your parents, from your mom. Because you saw the negative effects that it had on your life when it comes to heroin and stuff.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
So you were. It sounds crazy, but you were smart. You knew better.
Probably not the word you would use for me, but I was very aware.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
call it that. Yeah. I'm very analytical. Like I sort of, if I can see something, hear something, and do something,
Hmm.
I can usually figure it out. But like, yeah, with stuff like that, it was just, it had already fucked up so much in my life. It was like, okay, at the start, I was having fun doing everything else that I was doing.
Hmm.
If I potentially touched heroin, I would turn out like my mum.
Right.
And that was like a, yeah, no go.
Yeah. What you hear stories about these CEOs and even some of the presidents and stuff that tried some of those hard drugs, but you never really hear a successful CEO that's been on heroin or anything. You hear people on acid, speed, cocaine, and all the other stuff. Um,
Uh, you'd be surprised.
when it comes,
We
oh,
we
heroin,
we used to sell drugs to quite a few high-profile lawyers and stuff like that
yeah.
down here in Australia. It helped them sort of wind down and stuff like that, mainly heroin, because
Hmm.
if they send someone like a murderer or something to jail for years,
Hmm.
they get a lot of stress and stuff like that, and they would use that as like a de-stressor.
Okay.
So,
So you used the deal as well?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
that was my main source of income for many years.
Okay. And that's how you were able to get by for so long?
That and Centrelink payments.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
All right. So you've been in so I'm assuming you've been in legal battles and all that stuff throughout your life as well?
As in,
As in like have you been in jail or anything like that?
no, I've been in correctional facilities,
Okay.
but not full on jail.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now listeners are listening right now. They're like, okay, when are they going to get to the personal training part? Like, how did he get to where he's at now? So what was pretty much the pivotal point for you in your life to where you was like, okay, I know you say you spoke to your father when your father pretty much told you to clean everything up at this point, but when did you decide to clean everything up for yourself?
Uh,
Well, what was it that
oh,
made you want to clean it up?
so there was a lot of things that accumulated and sort of added to the reason why I wanted to change. I couldn't hold down a job, couldn't hold down a place to live, so I was homeless, sometimes living on the streets, or I was couch surfing on friends' couches, or I'd stay at a family member's house for a couple of weeks, and they'd get sick of me and kick me out. But the one sort of moment, my snap point that started everything was I was out at a club and I'd been up partying for about 4 days, and I was off my head, man, high as all hell, drunk, and ran into a friend that I hadn't seen for a while, a good friend of mine. And I was sort of like, hey, Kenna, how you going, man? And he turned around to me and he said, listen, I don't want to hang around you anymore. You're getting too bad and you're scaring me.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of at the time, just like with my dad, I was like, oh yeah, whatever, brushed him off and sort of went about my, partying and getting even more high and getting off it.
Right.
And then when I sort of come to a couple of days later, I was like, I can't remember pretty much anything from that whole 3 or 4 days, but I can remember that moment as clear as a bell. Like it was just a moment that I needed to remember. And I've spoken to a lot of people and they're like, well, maybe your subconscious mind was like, this is a very important moment. You need to remember it.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it comes back to, I never really had family growing up. Like I had no solid family around me except for my nan and pop. So friends became sort of like my close family, if you want to call it that.
Right.
And for one of my very good friends who I was very close to turn around and say that to me, it even though I brushed it off at the time and was like whatever,
Mm.
it's still stuck with me, and that's what sparked me to start bettering myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the first thing that you did when you started bettering yourself, was it was it that you walked into a gym or what was it?
No. It was about 2 years into my recovery before I hit the gym, man.
Okay.
Uh, I went through a process, a 3.5 year process, man, of trying to quit. The first year or so, I was like trying to go all or nothing and trying to quit everything all at once.
Like cold
And
turkey.
it wasn't working. Like I couldn't do it. Just
Mhm.
like someone struggling with food addiction, man, and trying to change everything in one day or a week.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. It's
Yeah.
hard. So then I went through a process of reducing the amount I was having, or not having a certain drug this weekend, or not drinking this weekend, or not even going out this weekend. So I was less tempted to have drugs. And like I fucked up heaps. I went through 3.5 years of messing up, man,
Yeah.
and then just trying to do things a different way, or identifying why I fucked up, and then changing that the next time I tried to get clean. And
Okay.
like I never went to any rehab centers or anything like that, because I've always been someone that's always done things myself. If I want to do it, I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can work my way through it.
Mhm.
I probably would have got cleaner quicker if I had gone to a rehab center, and got help that way. But yeah, I just didn't. I was like, I can
I
do
mean,
this.
do you have any regrets with that? Do you have any regrets as far? Do you wish you had went to rehab instead?
um, Looking back on it, I wish I had of,
Mhm.
because then I probably could have started my career and my new life quicker.
Okay.
That's um, the only like
Regret
thing that
that you
I would.
have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So how old were you when you actually realized that you were done?
It was around about the age of 23, around there somewhere,
Okay.
and then went through a massive, like as I said, a 3.5 year process, and finally quit.
Hmm.
And then, yeah, I think it was about a year and a half before I quit, I started going to the gym with my brother, and everything changed.
Yeah.
I fell in love with lifting weights, man.
Yeah.
I just love it. And even to this day, like it's my when my depression hits me, and like shit hits the fan within the business and my family, my life,
Hmm.
uh, I go lift weights. I eat food. I play video games. That's
Right.
all I do. It's
Yeah.
like my safety blanket, man.
Yeah. I feel you on that one.
Yeah.
I feel you on that
Yeah.
one. So for me, it was totally different. When I first started working, well, I guess I've always been into athletics and stuff, but I hated working out, like in a sense of
Okay.
trying to get
And
healthy
now
and
you're a
stuff.
bodybuilder?
Yeah, now now I'm a bodybuilder.
Nice.
I can't imagine not doing it. Like if I
Yeah,
go,
yeah.
I literally
I
go
feel
one
you.
day. I go one day a week without lifting, and that's it. That's all.
Yeah.
And that's just for recovery purposes and stuff.
Hmm.
But if I could every day, I would. But obviously, I
Yeah.
know that's not smart. Um, so yeah, so you fell in love with working out, and when did you realize that you wanted to become a personal trainer, or was that the first day?
No, definitely not, man.
You probably didn't know
The
what a
first,
personal trainer was at that time, did you?
I knew of them.
Yeah.
Wasn't fond of them, but knew of
Right.
them.
Right.
Um, so first day walking into the gym was dismal, man. I didn't want to be there. I was this skinny little rake. Like, do you guys use kilos there?
In the UK, we do,
Yeah. So
but
I
in the
was
states,
I
we use
was
pounds.
okay. So I was 69 kilos. I'm not sure what that is in pounds for people listening. Uh,
That's probably like 130, 140 pounds, maybe. You were
okay.
small. How tall are you?
6 foot. So I'm
Yeah, you were
pretty
small.
tall.
Yeah, you're a
I
little
was
shit.
I was tiny, man. I was a twig.
Yeah,
Could barely even bench press the bar. Like it was a struggle to get it up. I was weak as hell.
yeah.
It was intimidating. Like there was all these other bigger guys and everything around me. Um, and thankfully, my brother sort of forced me to go to the gym. And eventually, it just became my new addiction. And it slowly became more of addiction than the drugs and
Mhm.
stuff like that, because the feeling of going to the gym and wrecking myself under barbells and dumbbells and stuff like that was more appealing to me. And then once I started eating food and eating food regularly, I started feeling better, started getting stronger, I started putting on weight, and yeah, everything just changed, man. And then it was sort of like I didn't care about other people in the gym. Like it was like I doubt anybody else in this gym is going through the journey that I'm going through, and everybody is on their own journey anyway. So just fuck them. I'm gonna do whatever I want. Like it's yeah.
And you kind of answered the question that I wanted to ask you about the whole addiction thing, because I read somewhere that you're addicted to the gym, and so it's safe to say that you're addicted to the gym, knowing what a real addiction feels like.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I have a very addictive personality, man, and yeah, if I'm similar to you, if I could train every day and not fall apart, like the body fall apart, I would do it. But I can't do it, man. It kills me.
Right. Yeah. And the only reason I asked that question because I talk to a lot of people that deal with psychology and all that stuff, dealing with the podcast, and then in my line, I work HR as well. And people say that the word addiction is not necessarily a positive word, because addiction means that it's something that could potentially ruin your life. But I don't see it that way. I think if it's something positive.
Exactly. I think there's positive addictions like going to the gym and stuff like that. Like it's, unless you're training 20, 30, 40, like 30 hours a day or a week, then it might become an unhealthy addiction. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if you're sensible about it and you're going and you're doing your workout routine, and it's like it's something for you that has to be done. It's not something that you need to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me, like if I don't do my training that I've scheduled for the week, I feel depressed. I feel upset. I feel like I've let myself down.
Right.
You know what I mean? But in saying that, like I have time off training as well. I hate it, but I do it because I need to give the body a rest. I need to do all that stuff. Like I can't always lift heavy weights. You've got to sort of give yourself a break every now and then. Yeah.
It's true. And I don't know, I guess maybe it is safe to say that I'm addicted to the gym as well, because I'll look forward, like on a Wednesday. I used to take my breaks on a Thursday, right? So on a Wednesday, I'll be like, oh, thank God I have a day off from the gym tomorrow. And then I get to tomorrow, and I'm like, fuck.
I want to go to the gym. Yeah, I feel you, man.
I really want to be in the gym right now. But and then you go back to the gym on Friday and everything, like, okay, I'm glad I took that break yesterday. You realize that break was needed. You don't know it. You don't know it until the following day after that break. Like, okay, now I really needed that break because I feel really good today, lifting and stuff today.
Yeah.
But yeah, some people do. I guess it would be wise to use the word addictive in a negative sense if it is taking over your life and you starting to cross those boundaries to where you're doing unhealthy things in the gym, as far as like, now I'm overdosing on certain drugs, like what do you call it, like steroid type drugs. People are overdosing because they don't feel like they're big enough, unless you're at that high IFBB level to where you're competing at the Olympia and all that other stuff. Then it could get a little unhealthy.
Well, so essentially through my addiction, man, I was chasing that next high, that good feeling, that like, okay, I need to have the drugs because they make me feel good. They make me forget about my fucked up life and stuff like that. When I go to the gym, that's pretty much what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym to lift heavy ass weights to get, that feeling of like, I don't know how to explain the feeling when you're under a barbell and like you finish doing a set of squats and you fall on the ground, hyperventilating. Like, it just feels fucking amazing, man. Yeah. But a lot of people might hear that and be like, oh, that sounds horrible. But for me, it's, oh, that is so good. Like,
That's so crazy. It's funny you say that. I was talking to my coach. Actually, my coach, he's the one that's from Australia, the one I was just telling you about in the beginning. Um, but after I got done working out yesterday, I sent him a text message. I'm like, I feel like shit today. I hate like I didn't say the word hate. What I say? Um, I said I feel dead, and it was like hang in there, mate. And I was like, no, like I love that. That means I'm doing something
Dead in
right.
a good way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a feeling of euphoria almost.
Yeah.
Like damn. And I know my wife, she probably looks at me walking around the house just dragging and stuff. Because now I'm at the points where I'm like, I'm always in the negative as far as my caloric
Calories really
intake.
low. Yeah.
Yeah, because yesterday I burned 2,200 calories, and I probably only put in about 1,500 calories maybe in my body. So I'm just dragging all day yesterday. And she got things like poor me. I'm like, no, this is great. Like that means something's going right now. It doesn't feel right in the moment, but I know I appreciate it later on down the road.
Yep.
So,
So when do you start water depleting? Is that like a
man, I don't know. This is only my second show. And my first show, the only reason I'm doing the second one is because the first one went so bad.
okay?
I had a bad coach at the time, bad guidance. Things fell apart towards that last 2 weeks and stuff. So the coach I have now, he's great, very communicative, great guy. He does things totally different than everybody else I've ever dealt with when it comes to bodybuilding. So he may not have me deplete at all. I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fuck, that's good.
yeah, because you hear all these things, and it's funny when you talk to people that talk about bodybuilding, or they know a little bit about it. They know that they're at one point you have to pretty much dehydrate yourself, and and knowing what I know now, not everyone necessarily has to dehydrate.
Yeah. So we know in the program that we run, we know a few of the elite bodybuilders in the program, and they do things very different to any other bodybuilder that I've heard. They don't actually lower their calories; they increase them into a show. But they increase them by using lower calorie foods. So they eat massive amounts of like low calorie foods to increase their resting metabolic rate to points where and I'm like, fuck, that's so different. But you see them on stage and they're really full and like everything's just looking vascular, and you're like, I'd like to look like that.
Have you ever competed before, or have you thought about it?
It's not really me, man. I'm not that kind of person. Like, I totally respect people that get on stage, man, because I've tried to get to single digit body fat, and it was fucking hard. Like, for me, it was hard. I know there's people out there that get to single digit, just like, it was easy. But yeah, full respect. Even people that get sub 5%, like, fuck, wow, that's
I don't know. I don't even know if I was in the single digits on my last. Like, that's how bad my last show was. This one, I'm pretty sure I'll get there. Not easy, definitely not easy. All the cardio and stuff that goes along with it, and then my genetics is just, I carry fat crazy. So we'll see. But I mean, it's something you could do it if you want to. I mean, you could do basically anything. Looking back at your story, you kick drug addiction.
I could do it, but
you said it's not you.
Yeah, it's not really me, man. Like, I love watching bodybuilding shows and being like, fuck, these guys they're amazing. They've put in all this work and that. But for me to actually get on stage, I'm like, it doesn't appeal to me.
I am looking forward to eating whatever it is that I want to eat again.
After your show.
All right. So after I got 5 more weeks, so we're going to get there eventually. So 5 more weeks go out pretty fast.
Put on about 10 kilos in 2 days. Just
it'd be nice, but I hope it didn't go that good. Hopefully I do well enough to do another show before the year's over with. So we'll see. But what do you have going on these days? So you have your Skinny to Strong podcast?
Yes. Yeah. Good. Yeah. So me and my girlfriend, our niche within our business is skinny people that want to put on healthy weight. We do help people that want to lose weight. Every personal trainer does that. But niche and what we want to become experts in is, people putting on healthy weight, because she started out really skinny and I started out really skinny, and now we've both, I've put on a lot more than her just because I'm male, obviously. We have that ability. But yeah, she's doing amazing as well, man. And she's got her own story with anxiety. And then, so that's our business. Pretty much the podcast is a part of it as well. So,
right. It's so interesting looking at you right now, because you walking down the road you see so many different people. You never know what kind of life they come from. And looking at you, I would never imagine that you had a life that you lived growing up with a mother that was addicted, and then your mother gave you drugs, and then you became addicted to drugs as well. And now look at you. You're a good looking young man.
Thank you, man.
Good looking young man. You out here lifting weights, you just don't, that's a story that you don't hear every day.
Yeah. So it's interesting you say that, because I had a group of clients that I started working with a while ago, and they didn't know about my story or anything like that. And it was when I was working in a commercial gym, and there was a homeless guy sitting at the front of our gym before it opened. And I sort of rocked up and I was like, listen, man, if you hang around for like 2 hours, we'll go get some breakfast and I'll shout you a meal, just because I've been where he was. And we got upstairs and these clients were like, Jesus Christ, why don't those people just leave? Like, I turned around, I'm like, well, you do realize 10 years ago, I was that person. I was homeless, living on the streets. I was a drug addict. And they're sort of like, no. And it's just, you, as you said, you can't tell.
Yeah. And I would say, and it sounds messed up to say, but there are a lot of people that are ignorant to the fact. And I say that because I can say that because I've been one of those people that were ignorant to that fact as well, that people laying on the streets, that they're basically nobodies, And I say that because I've never been there. And those people that you were just mentioning, they probably never been in that situation before either.
No.
So now hopefully people are more aware. It seems like we're getting more aware these days as far as technology goes, and people's stories are getting out there now to you can't look down on people because you don't know what kind of life they had. Or you see people on the streets that at one point they were considered rich and wealthy, and now you see them on the streets because something went bad. One thing might have went bad for them. So everyone has a different story, and you can't judge people just by looking at them from the outside. So and then that's two ways. You can't look at someone that seemed like they're successful and assume they got everything all figured out, because not everybody that's successful has it all figured out.
There's a lot of Instagram influencers that make themselves out to be rich and famous and all that, but behind closed doors.
Oh yeah. There's some people. There's one person that I know personally. They have about a couple million followers on Instagram, and people look at that and they see all these pictures and stuff. I'm like, this person, they're not living the lifestyle that they're portraying on Instagram. You're probably doing well, but way better than that person. So don't let that type of stuff fool you. So.
Yeah, that's not success, man. Having a good Instagram following.
Yeah. That's how people see it these days, though.
Yeah.
And it's sad. It's sad, and I don't know if we're ever going to get away from that. Probably not. As far as that. The younger generation goes, but hopefully, I hope that there's a shift in that eventually.
Yeah.
So your podcast, how often do you record, or how often do your shows come out?
Once a week, every Monday for 4 a.m. we release an episode.
Okay.
Yeah, we talk about so we talk about like general health health stuff, like eating healthy and stuff like that. The main sort of gist of the podcast is gaining healthy weight, but in order to gain healthy weight, people have to build muscle. So for people that want to lose weight as well, like you need to build muscle as well. So it's
Okay, cool. Make sure I'm gonna have to take a listen to that. And then you do personal training. Is there a site that people can go to sign up for? Do you do online personal training as well, or just in person?
We do. I think everyone in Australia at the moment is doing online coaching, man.
That is true.
There's no gyms open or anything. So our website is just skinny2strongpodcast.com. With the number 2, not
okay. Skinny 2 strong. Okay.
Yeah. everything can be found there.
Okay, cool. I'll make sure I link that in the description as well. That way people can get that information out there.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Anything else you want to share before we end this?
No, I think we covered everything, man. Like it was awesome.
Okay. Yeah, this was a great interview. It was an easy interview for me for some reason.
Yeah.
I always get nervous whenever I talk to people I never spoke with before, and you do these interviews. Either it's going to go good, okay, or bad. And this one, I think this one was great. So you're an easy person to talk to. Dope story to tell, and I appreciate you telling our story.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me on.
Sorry, I was gonna say one thing. Normally, I do ask our hosts one thing that they do every day that's therapeutic, because this is a public therapy podcast. But you basically already told us everything that you do therapeutic every day.
My life is ruled by routine, man.
I was like, what?
I ruined it. Yeah, it's ruled by routine, man. Like I get up at 5:30 nearly every morning, and I'm eating within 10 minutes of getting up, and I'm just structure with everything I do. Like it's just got to be planned, and like I plan and prepare for things. So
all right. Okay, well, I appreciate that, Kane. That's a dope name, by the way. I love that name, Kane.
Thank you.
It's pretty badass. So it's like someone with that name, you definitely have to do something amazing in your life, and you definitely lived up to your name. So that's pretty dope. All right. So This has been another episode of the Public Therapy Podcast with your host, Chris. And today we have with us Kane Patterson from the Skinny Too Strong podcast. I don't know why I want to say skinny to fit all the time.
That's all
right. All right, y'all. Y'all take it easy. Peace.